big talk. Right. It's going to be a big talk. It's going to be a big talk. We got to get serious faces on now because it is genuinely a serious issue. I don't know if anyone's watched it yet. But it is out now. I think it's been out for 2 or 3 days, I think. So, the Louis Theroux Netflix documentary, essentially tackling toxic masculinity. First off, Louis Theroux, that man literally is the finest documentarian. He does such a fantastic job of everything that he does. You watched it last night and spent your time with a face like this. I've spent the entire day like this. I'm not even joking, right? I'm not even joking. I watched it and I knew, like, after 5 minutes, like, I have to talk about this. I even made notes. Like, I genuinely made notes as I was watching it because I knew I needed to talk about it today. It's honestly ridiculous, and I know I've touched upon a couple of things, and I've been very cryptic about in Discord because I'm trying to keep it spoiler free as possible. By the way, welcome in, Grim. We're having a serious discussion first, and then we're gonna get onto the goofy gameplay. But within 5 minutes of that documentary starting, I was already face palming. Like, it was, for anyone that hasn't seen it, it is a very hard watch. It is a very hard watch for so many reasons. It's actually quite terrifying that we could be experiencing a massive wave of toxic masculinity next few years, because the grip that some of these influencers have on young, impressionable teenagers is quite scary. So I'll try and surmise it the best I can, and I'm gonna give my thoughts about it along the way as well. As hard a watch as it is, I do recommend people watching it, strictly for educational purposes. I mean, I know most of you in here will most likely be, face palming yourself most of the time. There is very disgusting, derogatory language in it. For apparently not much of a reason, if I'm being honest. It's actually just like it got me really fucking, like, it almost turned into a hate watch for me. It almost turned into a hate watch. So people who don't know what it is, Louis Theroux is dubbed it, or it's been dubbed the manosphere, and it's basically, is talking about the kind of stuff spoken about in adolescence, kind of, but it's worse. They're just greedy men who are preying on young kids who are going through the tough times that come with puberty, playing on the insecurities that come as we grow into adults. That is true, but I think it goes deeper than that. I think it goes much deeper than that. So the immediate thing that struck out to me after watching it, is the resistance that these influencers had towards someone from mainstream media. That alone screams alarm bells. Because why do they not want to be in mainstream media? Surely that means that they are up to some shady shit. Now I know I will balance it out and say that there's times that the mainstream media are a bit chaotic. We've all seen it. So I can kind of get that to a certain degree. But when you watch it through and you listen to the words that they're saying, and you listen to how they talk about not only themselves, but how they talk about women, how they talk about demographics of other people. It's highly, highly unsavory. So that kind of makes sense as why they don't want to be on mainstream media. The funny thing is they thought that they were going to quote unquote cook Louis Theroux when they're it's just not possible. It's just not possible. So just looking at my points here. So all of them, all of them believe that women should be a subservient race. Okay, women should not be treated equal. Women are a subspecies to them at this point. They are a means to an end. They're not. They don't see them as anything else. I mean, even in the first 5 minutes, one of them literally refers to one of them as the dishwasher. Whether he meant it in jest or not is another is another thing. But the fact that that was literally in the first 5 minutes, he referred to someone in there as the dishwasher, and even another one of them referred to their girlfriend as the cleaner of his podcast room. Now, I will not be using names because I don't want to give oxygen to I don't want to give oxygen to the main culprits in the documentary. If you watch it, then you'll obviously know who it is, but I'm not going to be using their names. But the one persona domestic violence to women's love, yeah, genuinely, like I'm deadly curious. What is it that makes those women stick around? I genuinely do not know. And it's really, really funny that the first one we met is a walking contradiction when it comes to women. So he is against pornographic material, yet he promotes OnlyFans stars in a private Telegram server. But that's not even the weirdest part. The weirdest part, and it's beyond creepy, is the statement that he made where he said he would only marry a virgin. Like, that is just fucking wild. As if his body count doesn't matter. He can sleep with 1,000 women, that doesn't matter. But the woman that he has to settle down with has to have a 0 body count. Which it's perplexing. It is beyond perplexing that he's allowed to adhere himself to his own standards, but women have to go through a fucking tick box criteria. I just find that beyond a joke. That it's such an insulting and hypocritical statement to make. There is a happy ending for one of them. There is a happy ending for one, which I'm not gonna say on stream because I don't want to spoil it. But there is a happy ending for. The one the other thing that got me with it is one of them was actually genuinely married. I was shocked to find out they were genuinely married, but the two of them bragged that their relationship was one-sided monogamy, and that the women knew that they were out sleeping with other women and they were okay with it. Why have we put a label on that to make that sound better? That's not okay. Like, if you can't be faithful to one person, don't be in a relationship. I don't get it. Like, what's so hard about that to grasp? If you cannot keep your fucking dick in your trousers, don't be in a relationship with someone. I just don't understand why have we labeled it one-way monogamy, and why are women okay with this? This is what is absolutely batshit insane. Why are women okay with that? Like, and they fully know. And the wife was like describing it so nonchalant. It's like, oh yeah, we're in our own lanes. I'm in my lane. You know, I do all the kid stuff, and he's in his lane. He's out working. No, he's out fucking. He's not working. He's fucking. And the wife actually left like a really rewarding, really like well-paid job. The job she was in can earn like $70,000 to $110,000 a year. Like, that's a good job, and she left that to be this. I gotta say, a trophy, because she's not being treated like a human being. She's being treated like an object. and it's crazy. It's I was literally lost for words listening to her. Like, and she was just so okay with it. I'm like, what kind of a hold does he have on you? What kind of a hold is it? And we'll get back to the body count thing in a sec as well, because I think one part I watched, I literally had to stop watching it for like 2 minutes because I was in utter disbelief. Um, but why have they labeled it in a way where it's like, oh yeah, it's fine, it's one way monogamy, and they're okay with it. Like, what? Like, I don't understand how. This is what I don't understand is they're clearly right. They're clearly right wing leaning, because a lot of these guys are like a lot of these guys. They're obviously disciples of Andrew Tate, but they all support people like Donald Trump, and Donald Trump is one of those people who's like always like, oh, traditional values. What the fuck is tradition? Like, traditional values in their sense is husband and wife in a happy family home. There is and like everyone's faithful, everyone's happy, and all this and that. Where is the traditional values in that? What is traditional about any of that? Um, I just there's so many parts of it that just left me in utter disbelief. And the thing is, like, they preach that they're these alpha males, and you have to be. So this they believe. One of them believed, and I want you to listen very carefully to this. One of them believed that men are born without value and they have to earn it, whereas women are born with value because women are pretty. How the mother of fuck does that? Like, so in their mind, right? If they deem a girl isn't pretty, does that mean that she no longer has value? Like, is it literally only pretty people, but in this case, pretty women that have a value? I don't understand it. Like, where is this need for men to demonstrate? Why are men born, in his mind, born with no value? I personally believe everyone is born with a value, and that value goes up and down depending on your words and actions. If you act like a dick, your value is going to go down. You still got some value to someone because someone out there will believe your nonsense. But if you act like a decent human being, your value is going to go up. There's no one in this world that's born without value. And I don't understand. Like, is it a tactic to kind of like break these young teenage boys down? Like, do they have to? Are they actually convincing and gaslighting these young children, these young adult men, into thinking that they're worth absolutely jack shit unless they listen to every single word these people are saying? It's like, is that the case? Is that the point that it's gotten to, where somebody who's you have no idea who they are, you have no affiliation to them, you have no reason to believe them, because most of the stuff, if not all of the stuff that they spout, is all baseless. Barely anything that they say can be substantiated. But the thing is, they talk with such aggression in their they talk with such aggression in the content that they make, that it must come across as convincing. And the thing is, as well, is they're making these young boys associate value with having flash cars, living in flash places, go into flash places, going on holiday every day, surrounded by attractive women. Like, that apparently gives a man value in the minds of these people. But that literally eradicates all the home values that they should be taught. You should be taught to respect women. You should be taught to tolerate and be tolerant of others who are different to you. You should be taught to be a good human being, to respect others, not to listen to grown man children on 30-second snippets on TikTok telling them that they're worthless, and the only way that they can get worth is by following their programs. Like, this is borderline gonna turn into an epidemic. And honestly, the more I thought about it, the more I support social media bans for under 16s. And I know people will be out there saying they could just VPN. There'll be ways around it. Make it harder. Make it harder. If you stop it at the source, you're making it harder for them to access that content. And I support Australia. I support Australia in their social media ban for under 16s. I wholly, and say, because if children are being indoctrinated via social media, then you just block it. You just stop it from being that tool that's getting to them. And as the documentary, hang on, go back to the value part. The way they explained, so when he was done explaining, saying that men are not born with value and women are born with value because they're pretty. There's two blokes standing in front of him, and obviously Louis was there as well. There's two blokes standing in front of him, and they said if it was a 20-year-old, if it was a pretty 20-year-old girl right now, they should get picked up in a car and flown to Miami. Is he friends with Ghislaine Maxwell? Like, that is literally trafficking talk. There is no way you cannot convince me that that is someone who is fucking studying human trafficking. And then he made the comparisons to the blokes, like, they want to pick him up. Which is wild. Like, the fact that he said, if you're young enough and pretty enough, you can happily get picked up in a car and whisked away somewhere else. That is borderline trafficking. Convince me otherwise. Convince me otherwise. That's literally how Ghislaine Maxwell got her victims. Like, she's like, "Oh, come with me and we'll fly you somewhere." Like, what the fuck? I I wish I was making this up. I really do wish I was making this up, but I'm not. I sound absolutely crazy, but I'm literally just repeating what they were saying. It's honestly wild. And do I actually? No, I'll save it for the last bit. But their grasp on young males is ridiculous. There was actually times whilst like Louis and the Netflix film were walking around in wherever they were. It was either they were in either Marbella, New York, or Miami. But there were points where they were just walking around, and it was kids. I'd say between the ages of like 13 and 9, so 13 and 19. They were swarming these, but you inspire me to do it. You're an inspiration to me. I'm sorry. In what universe is anything that they do inspiring? He's like, one of them's already been outed as a fucking scammer because he literally goes, "Oh, I just woke up. I've made 10 grand already. You can too by doing it." And it's all a scam. It's all a scam. You basically pay him money. You pay money into this thing. He takes a cut of it, and you lose money. That's essentially what it is. Because Louis Theroux proved it. He put in 500 quid. He put in 500 quid. He followed all the steps, and he lost money. So it's literally just one big scam. Like, he's not getting. There's no secret. There's no There's no complex method. There's no complicated, simplified method to get in like the wealth that he's apparently showing off. No, you're literally just lining his pockets, and he's making it sound enticing by using certain words and using screenshots that are obviously fake or doctored. And the kids are falling for that. People are falling for that. And the more it went on, the more I understand. The more I understand why so many people around their age So these influencers were between the ages of 23 and I think 30, early 30s. Now I understand why they think that people they 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 call people predators with zero evidence. Zero, like this is it goes back to the baseless claims. They are just waffling, utter nonsense. I mean, they tried to tie Louis Theroux to Jimmy Savile, saying that they were best friends. That is the straw that they were clutching in the end. I just don't. I can't even fathom how you would be that fucking dumb. Like, surely, if someone reaches out to an interview for you, you do your own research. You don't just go, oh, I don't know who they are. I'll just wing it. Like you, how do you not know who Louis Theroux is? Everyone knows who Louis Theroux is. But at the same time, why would you not do your background research on someone who wants to interview you for a documentary? And what made it really funny is their egos crumble the moment their their operation and their facade is challenged, because they don't surround themselves with people who push back. They surround themselves with they basically build their own echo chamber. They only surround themselves with people who massage the egos, who validate their behavior and say nothing, because they're just hanging on to their coattails like leeches. Their entourage is just walking around hoping that they get noticed. No one's gonna notice them. No one gives a fuck. The person at the top don't give a fuck about them. He just wants to look good. That's all it is. He doesn't give a fuck about them. If they disappeared tomorrow, he wouldn't give two shits. But this is literally like he's got his own little entourage just following. They got their own little entourage. He's just following them around, and nobody's allowed to speak up. Well, I wouldn't say no one's allowed to. No one wants to because they all believe the shit that they're coming out of their mouths. It's ridiculous. It's I'd say it's sad, but it's not really, because they're of an age where they should be able to think for themselves, and they should have enough. They should have at least one brain cell to be like, hang on a minute, there's something not right here. There's something that's not right, and we are living in such an ignorant era of people can just stand on a hill and spout such awful rhetorics with nothing to substantiate it with, and people go yes, because all they're doing is they're tapping into what makes people angry. They're tapping into the angst of society. They don't give a shit about. They don't give a shit about them, really. They're just a tool. And they even admitted in the documentary they used it, like, people are just tools to them. It's all about chasing clout. Clout is the currency. If social media didn't exist, these people would be irrelevant. No one would know the fuck they were. They'd be a nobody. But social media has given them the platform to be able to turn into these absolute monsters of hate. And unfortunately, it doesn't look like their comeuppance is coming anytime soon, because they're rubbing shoulders with people who clearly know who they know can protect them if it hits the fan. And maybe on a human level, someone out there can feel sorry for him, but I fucking don't. They've made their choice. Especially when it comes to their talks about mental health, which, again, disciples of Tate. Do you know who any of them? No, before I even watched it, I had no idea who they were. No idea who they were, which must mean that I'm doing a good thing, off on my own thing. I'm clearly keeping my algorithm nice and purged of incels like that. But their derogatory language towards mental health is terrifying as well. Because let me just pull up a stat a sec. What is the current? Right, so in the UK, male suicide is a critical issue in the UK, with men accounting for approximately 75% of all unaliving deaths. The male unalive rate in England and Wales is roughly 17 per 100,000, which is 3 times higher than the female rate. So, whilst men, real men, in my eyes, whilst real men are struggling with various aspects of life and not being able to cope with the constant pressure and the constant stress and the constant need to just keep going every day, fuckboys over there are basically saying it's a weakness. So, in an era where we're trying to get men to talk, in an era where we're trying to get men to open up about their feelings, and in an era where we're trying to get rid of the stigma of men actually having feelings, these fuckers are telling young men that having feelings makes you weak and mental health doesn't exist. And to that I say, fuck you. To that I say, fuck you. As someone who has been to the edge, as someone who has battled with mental health from the age of 18, fuck you. You can sit in your echo chamber and let your fuckboys massage your styrofoam ego. And you could, it's okay. You can promote OnlyFans stars and then talk in a derogatory term about them. You can say that you would disown your son if you were gay, which is ridiculous. But you are treading insanely dangerous waters when you don't give a flying fuck about how another man is feeling. Even one of these disciples of one of these influencers admitted that his brother lost the battle. And he literally talked about him like a discarded tissue. That is beyond. If someone came into my space and came up to me and said, I'm struggling, you don't push them away. You invite them in. You let them speak. You could be the difference of someone seeing tomorrow and someone being buried. That one conversation could change someone's life. You might not even speak that much. You might not even give any advice. But the fact that you allowed them to speak, you gave them an opportunity to speak, and you validated them so they could potentially see another day. That the darkness didn't consume them and there was actually light there. You could have made that difference. If they went up to one of these indoctrinated idiots, I think we all know what the outcome would be. I think we all know what the outcome would be. In an era where we are trying to get rid of the stigma surrounding men's mental health and get men to open up and say, it's okay to talk. If you're struggling, it's okay. Life is hard. It's okay. We get you. We understand you. We're here for you. You do not have the right to say that men are weak because they have feelings. You have no right, until you have actually walked in their shoes and not sat through your scammed, lavish lifestyle, you do not understand the struggles. I cannot believe we have to deal with this level of immaturity. I'm beyond. It's beyond. The lack of emotional thinking, the emotional maturity on these children, on these man children, is ridiculous. And I still haven't gotten to the worst part. Mm. Going back to the one-way monogamy shit. One of them said, and I quote, "Women want to know their man is wanted by other women." Let that sink in. Women want to know that their man is wanted by other women. This is how they describe the one-way monogamy. This is how they are describing this absurd label that they've put on to basically validate them cheating on their spouses. I can't even. I just don't know what to say to that. I mean, if you were literally a fucking doormat if you actually allow that. And that probably will upset a few people. But you are if you've committed, if you are hoping for a exclusive relationship and that's their attitude towards you and you're okay with it, you are a doormat. So we need to be uplifting women. We need to be uplifting them and giving them the value they deserve. This is the line that got me. This is the line that got me. Now, one of them was on a roundtable discussion on their podcast, and they had a group of women around. They had a group of women around the table, and apparently this podcast is known for getting women around the table, and their viewers, chatters, whatever, they will berate them. That is apparently the whole thing. And it does not surprise me that the streams are coming from Kick. Another good reason for me to stay away from that site. But anyway, they were talking about body count. They said, biologically, the female body count matters more than the male body count. And the reason why, and this is the craziest shit I've heard this decade, and we've heard some crazy shit this decade. The reason why it matters biologically, a woman's body count biologically matters, is because their private parts are able to retain the DNA of past romantic encounters. And I quote, "This is why some babies look like their exes' dads." Who the actual fuck is believing this? How can you believe this? How can you actually believe this? Like, there is absolutely no way anyone there's absolutely no way that people with there's no way that people who can use crayons believe that. We've heard some really fucked up shit this decade. That is up there for me. That is well up there. You know it's batshit insane when even Louis Theroux was perplexed by what he just heard. And the thing is, they all talk about this whole men have to dominate. They have to dominate women. They have to dominate women, otherwise they're weak. Can't like the male species is dying out. How? How is it dying out? Probably because you're invalidating their feelings. Maybe that's why. Maybe because you're invalidating how they're feeling because you don't believe in it. Maybe that's probably why they're dying out. Good men can't make it, can't. Good men lose the battle because of fuckers like these. And I'm not going to apologize for getting worked up about this because there's a lot of topics in that thing that really touch the nerve of me. And hey, in their eyes, I'm not an alpha, but to be honest, if you have to claim that you're an alpha male, you are quite obviously a beta male. No one ever needs to say out loud, "I'm an alpha." No, no. These styrofoam egos got absolutely destroyed by some pasty white man asking a question. Literally, they were flying off the handle just because they were asking questions. Because they had never been challenged in their life about what they do and what they stand for. And a journalist comes along and says, hold on, asks the why, the what, the where, the how. And their answers are incoherent. They cannot answer directly. They cannot give an actual feasible answer because there is no way to explain their behaviors. Absolutely no way. What is really good, from what I've seen, from my own views, at least across the social media platforms that I use, is all of the men in the documentary are being ridiculed. They are being ridiculed. One of them has wiped one of their socials as part of the fallout from the documentary. More of him needs to be wiped. But if you subscribe to their way of thinking, I implore you to have a serious reevaluation of why. And I would really encourage you to read a book, look online for articles, try and see if you can substantiate or stand up anything that is actually true what they're saying. The kids need to stop getting their news and information from these so-called influencers via social media. It needs to stop because this is what is warping young minds. Imagine someone you don't know. Put yourself as a teenager. Imagine you're like a teenager now in current day, and you got access to TikTok or Instagram or Twitter, whatever, right? And you've got someone you don't know from Adam. You'll probably never see him, probably never cross paths with him. They will never know who you are. They're on there telling you whatever you're doing right now is worthless, not worth doing. You need to stop what you're doing. If you're not doing what I'm doing, you're doing it wrong. And you grow up to be like one of them because you're engrossed in that media and that content. You're consuming that content. If my child ever grew up to be like one of them, I would consider myself a failed parent. There's no two ways about that. Every child should be raised to respect others. Every child should be raised with good home values. That does not come from a man-child on TikTok. That does not come from a man-child Instagram. Your role models should not be people who would not give a flying fuck about you. Your role model should be closer to home. Your role model should be someone that's actually inspiring, that actually makes a difference to not just their community, but to wider reaching communities. You should people need to aim higher because too many people are punching low, and we need to kind of raise the bar a bit now because we are in such an ignorant time where people do not want to acknowledge the truth. People just want to hear someone on a soapbox spouting bullshit and go, "Yep, he's the man for me." That's the man for me. That's what I want to follow. That he speaks good sense. He does. I like the cut of his jib. He's talking sense. He is not. It would take me 5, 10, 15 minutes. Look for some newspaper articles. Look through some. Look for some journals. To literally squash any claims that they would make. That's literally 5, 10 minutes that they could also spend being like, hang on, what you're saying, wrong, factually incorrect. So, the documentary, as hard as a watch as it is, and there'll probably be moments in there where you're laughing, not because it's funny, but you're laughing because out of sheer disbelief. I recommend that you watch it. It's a hard watch. You'll be shaking your head. You might get angry. Like I said, it's for me. It turned into a hate watch in the end. But I think it's such an eye opener because, like I said, this is a world I kind of knew existed, but I didn't know how bad it actually was. I knew there were people like that existed. I did not realize how deep and how far the reach actually was. To like, because I had no idea. Apart from Andrew Tate, I had no idea who the others were. Not a clue. But they all share something in common, which you will find out if you watch it. Yeah, it's a hard watch, but I think it's an important watch because I think it's a window into what could potentially happen if the voice of reason or the voices of reason do not start to stand up and speak up. And I honestly implore anyone with a voice to stand up and speak up. And it goes beyond topics of documentary. It's just in general. Stand up and speak up. Make yourself known. Make yourself known. Make sure that people know what side you're on. Make sure that you make your stance and you make it with conviction. And you say it with your chest out and you say it proud. Regardless of what people say. You know what your beliefs are. And you can back up your beliefs. Because right now there is so much misinformation out there that we need to start sprinkling in some truths in between that hopefully grab people back onto the path of common sense. Otherwise, we are fucked. Well and truly. That was a hard